At Dirt Tracks, we talk a lot about vehicle performance, the ATV industry, new technology, and interesting people we've met along the way. And these things are both interesting and important. But there's no question, there's another topic out there that is more important and more interesting than all of these things combined. Safe and responsible ATV use is what will ensure a long, enjoyable future for the ATV industry. It's something many of us take for granted, but it's also a topic that can come up and slap you right in the face if you're not paying attention. And this hit home here recently when a young family acquaintance of one of our crew members was killed only a few miles from our headquarters while riding an adult ATV unsupervised. After the accident, we spent a lot of time talking about what happened and, more importantly, how it could have been prevented. With a little research, we were able to confirm exactly what we had all been feeling. ATVing is a very safe sport when enjoyed responsibly and when common sense is used generously. But when common sense and responsibility are missing, things can get ugly. So what is safe and responsible ATVing? Simply put, it's planning ahead for what could happen while doing your best to avoid these scenarios altogether. To do this, you have to understand the riding scenarios and circumstances that most commonly lead to injury or death. And the first is the most important and should be the most obvious, but sadly, oftentimes it is not. Drinking alcohol or taking drugs before or while you ride is the absolute worst idea an ATVer can have. We know there's still a lingering culture of acceptance for drinking and riding in the sport of ATVing. We just don't know why. There was a time when it was the norm regardless of what type of vehicle you drove. But through education, awareness, and the enforcement of new laws, the vast majority of off-road riders have come to embrace the concept of zero tolerance for drug and alcohol use while riding their ATVs. For those not in that majority, we have this to say. If you want to enjoy your day of ATVing and live to see another one, the number one thing you can do is leave the drinking till after the bikes are parked at the end of the day. There is no argument here. It's a fact backed up by mountains of legitimate statistics. Drinking and riding is bad, and if you value your life or the lives of the ones you ride with, you need to make sure it's not happening in your group. The second thing you can do to protect yourself and the ones you ride with from serious injury or worse is to wear a helmet and insist the people you ride with do the same. This one's all about common sense, and we honestly cannot figure out why people continue to ride helmetless. Statistics say that if you don't wear a helmet, you're approximately 70% more likely to die in an accident that would have otherwise left you injured but alive had you been wearing one. In other words, if you're in an accident, you're more likely to walk away with a broken bone than die if you are wearing a helmet. But you're more likely to die if you aren't. With or without a broken bone, it doesn't really matter because you're dead. Where I grew up, wearing a helmet was the law, both a real law and a Lester law. No Lester ever rode any motorized vehicle without a helmet on. Whether it was an ATV, a snowmobile, a side-by-side, a dirt bike, heck, even a scooter or a moped, it didn't matter. And you know what? We do all have scars, but we're all also still here to tell about them. The reasons I hear people give for not wearing a helmet are literally mind-boggling. From improved audible and visual awareness to simply feeling the freedom of the wind in your hair, I've heard it all, and none of it adds up in the end. The third way we can make ATVing significantly safer and ensure there's another generation of ATVers to ride with in the future is to keep our kids off of ATVs they're too small to ride. The statistics surrounding kids riding adult ATVs are staggering. The scenario is like a ticking time bomb, and nobody wants it to be their kid on the ATV when the clock finally runs out. There are very good reasons manufacturers have age restrictions on the vehicles they produce. Full-size ATVs are simply too big, too powerful, and most importantly, too heavy for small kids to handle. As parents, we would do anything to protect our kids. In this case, all parents need to do is say no. Your kids might feel mad at you for a while, but you have to be alive to feel mad, so it's worth it. If there's one thing we hope ATVers in general will all understand, it's this. We are all connected, whether you want to be or not. Some riders figure that because they only ride in small groups, on private property, or a long way from the public eye, it doesn't really matter what they do. No one will either know or care, and nothing they do affects anyone else. But the truth is, When something bad happens, it goes on record as an ATV incident, and it does affect us all. Whether you ride public trails, private trails, or just around your camp, miles from civilization, you represent every ATVer in the market. So, as the late John Mazenberg used to say at the end of every episode, ride safe, ride sober, and we'll see you next week on Dirt Tracks TV.
Like the video you just saw? Do you want to see more? Click the subscribe link and add the Dirt Tracks channel, and you're going to see a whole lot more great content.